What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Web Edit Wednesdays, where I go through the stories behind all the tricks in my Web Edit 3. This week I am doing probably one of the hardest tricks I've ever done at a skate park, and that is the backflip to Nosemanual 180 Fakie Frontflip. This trick was insanely hard, and I never would have thought I would have done it. If you asked me about like a year ago if I would have done this trick, I would have said I couldn't believe that I could do it. It sounds like a trick that should take about 1,000 tries, but I end up fluking it and getting it a little bit quicker than that. So let's get into the story behind it. Alright, so obviously the idea for this trick comes back to Web Edit 2. It was July 2011. I did the first ever backflip to hang 5 to whip in, which is basically, it's a bit easier than Nosemanual because you actually get to drop a foot off and get to swing it around to counterbalance. So doing the hang 5 actually makes it a little bit easier, but here's the clip from Web Edit 2. So that was like 6 years ago, so I was super stoked on that clip, and it was actually probably my favorite clip of all time out of Web Edit 2. And then I had to move on, and I wanted to do backflip to Nosemanual, and I actually just released that on Instagram. I was always working on bettering the trick, but I think just to Nosemanual with no trick out, it wasn't good enough, so I just ended up releasing it on Instagram, and here's a clip of that. So that was in 2014. I obviously wanted to step it up, and I did end up doing the backflip to Nosemanual inward in, which I did a previous Web Edit Wednesday on, but here is the clip. As you would know by my Web Edit Wednesday a few weeks ago, that trick took me a long time, and there was a lot of hard work that went into that clip, so make sure you click the card, go check out that Web Edit Wednesday if you haven't seen that already. But now I'm going to move on to when I first tried the backflip Nosemanual 180 Fakie Frontflip. Alright, so the idea for this trick, I didn't even plan to do it. It was actually this year. It was one of the last tricks I had filmed for Web Edit 3. And Nick was up, and he was filming, and we were filming a bunch of stuff. The first trick I actually did that day, I haven't done a Web Edit Wednesday 4 yet, but it was the 360 bar twist to hang 5, 360 whip in. That ended up taking me like 40 tries, so on this same day, I had tried that trick so many times, and I was already tired, and then it was just like a spur of the moment thing. Okay, I wanted to do a backflip to Nosemanual, and I think I was originally thinking about doing a 360 in, but I soon learned that it wasn't going to happen as quick as I thought, so I thought, maybe if I could just get a 180 in and get to Fakie, I could huck a Fakie Frontflip out of that, and that would be a definite Web Edit 3 worthy trick. So I went into trying this trick, just seeing if it would work. I never knew like if it would work, how many tries it would take. So when I think about doing that trick, a backflip to Nosemanual, 180 in to Fakie Frontflip, there's just so many variables that could go wrong. First of all, you have to get the hardest part, which is obviously the backflip to Nosemanual, which in itself is so hard because not only are you like jumping into a Nosemanual, you're flipping into the Nosemanual. So not only do you have the downwards force of the jump, but you also have the flip force coming in onto the front wheel. So there's just so much force, and over the years of trying that trick, I actually learned that it's one of the worst things to do for my scooter. I would either curve my wheel like this and it would squash, and I would end up with like a permanent flat spot in my wheel, or I would end up bending my forks or bars forwards. So usually when you bend your bars, you bend them backwards because of so much leverage, obviously, but because I'm landing so heavily on the front wheel, I was actually bending my forks or bars forwards when I was doing this trick. Luckily on that day that didn't happen. I don't know if it's because obviously my parts are a bit better now than what they used to be, but fortunately my scooter didn't break, and I got to try it a few times. So yeah, anyway, the rest of the trick, so once you get the backflip to Nosemanual, you have to do a little shimmy, because I'm doing a straight backflip into Nosemanual, you actually don't have any momentum to start spinning, so you almost have to start it yourself during the Nosemanual. So while I'm balancing in a Nosemanual, I'm shimmying my body to like make myself start turning, and then obviously a 180 to fakie into a quarter pipe is actually a really hard trick, and I think even without the flip to Nosemanual, this trick would still be really hard, like even a Nosemanual 180 fakie to fakie fronty. And then obviously you know the fakie fronty is hard because you have to be perfectly straight. If you're turned at all, then it's just not going to work and you end up landing on your head. Anyway, enough talking. I'm going to get into the first few attempts of this trick. Luckily, this is one of the tricks that I have every attempt, so I'm going to count it out and I'm going to show you how many attempts it actually took, and it's going to count down. Obviously, you'll see the counter going up as I attempt more and more, but here are the first attempts. Oh my gosh, how did I nearly get that already? Oh baby, baby! Oh. Woo! Woo baby! So as you can see, that's 16 attempts already right there. I was actually a little bit surprised about how close I was getting at the very start. Usually this trick is so much trial and error. I have to like use the ramp as a step up. So what I do is I jump from the bottom and flip up so that I'm not launching up the ramp and landing really heavy on top. But so what I would do is I would flip, and every time I would slowly under rotate more and more, and then hopefully land in that Nosemanual position. But the thing is, it's just repetition on this trick. I mean, some of it could be skill, but a lot of it is just trying to do the same thing but a little bit less every time and trying to land more forward every time. It's definitely one of the hardest tricks I've ever done in my whole life. And as you can see, I do get a little frustrated, but I just know that it's going to take a lot more tries than 16 attempts. Alright, so after these 16 attempts, I take a little break and I go to put my camera together, but Nick actually gets a pretty cool shot of me and like what my mindset's at and how I'm feeling, and he just films me while I'm setting up my camera. More angles.
What are you about to try?
I don't even know. I'm trying to wreck the world, I'm trying to break physics. I'm doing a flip, Nosemanual, 180 fakie fronty. I'm trying to break the laws of physics right now with my scooter. This will be gnarly if I land this. Please give me the strength. So as you can see by my mindset, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to land it. There's just so many factors that have to come all together perfectly for me to land this trick. So I'm kind of going into it optimistic and thinking like, what if? But maybe I can. So that's what just drove me to do it, because it is such a crazy trick. But I understood that there was just so many factors that it could stuff up. So I just know that the probability of me landing it isn't too high, but I'm still believing in myself. Oh. No, fuck. Damn it. Oh. Oh. Oh, that was close. That was really close. Oh. Fuck! No. Oh! Oh, too high. Oh! 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 So too up in the air. Oh! Oh! So as you can see, I'm getting pretty frustrated, but I just know how hard the trick is, and I know that I just got to get that backflip to Nosemanual, and once I've got that, I have a really good chance of stomping the trick. It's just all about that backflip to Nosemanual. That's the hardest part, and it sucks that the hardest part's at the very beginning. Oh, actually, I don't know if it's worse. Maybe it's a blessing that the backflip to Nosemanual was the hardest part of the trick, but I knew that I just needed to get that backflip to Nosemanual, and once I got into it, I was going to land it. Oh! 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 Oh, why? Why? I don't want to throw my finger up. Alright, so I'm 84 attempts into this trick right now, and obviously I'm getting super frustrated. The amount of times I've landed the backflip to Nosemanual or like slightly hang 5 is a fair bit, so I'm getting frustrated that I'm not capitalizing on landing in the actual Nosemanual. And sneeze. Sorry. But I'm just pushing on. I know that it's going to take a while, and I'm pushing on. I'm believing in myself, and I'm believing that I'm going to get the trick. Alright, so we're 86 attempts into the trick now. I'm definitely feeling it, but I'm pushing on. I'm keeping my hopes up, and little did I know that the 87th attempt was going to be the one that I landed. Check it out.
New and refurbished original frame.
I did it. Nico, I did it, bro. I did it. Oh my God, I did it. It was like, I crashed, damn it, but I was landing.
You did it, bro.
No, thanks, dude. I was gonna give up, for sure. I was like, it's not gonna happen. All it takes is one, bro. Never give up. Persistence is the key, I just showed you. I got nowhere near till just then, and I got it. So as you can see, I was probably one of the most stoked I've ever been on a trick in the skate park. I would say that this had to be one of the hardest tricks I have ever done in my whole life. If not the hardest trick I've ever done at the skate park. Obviously it took a lot of attempts, and I was nearly about to give up just because I knew how hard the rest of the trick was, and I was barely getting the backflip to Nosemanual, so I knew how hard it was, but I knew it only took one, and that's what I said. It only takes one, and then you got it, and then it's on film forever, and that's the way I was thinking, and that's what kept pushing me forward to do it. So I'm going to talk through the trick in slow-mo, and I'm just going to explain like how I was feeling, what I was thinking, and what the hard things about the trick were. Alright, straight off the bat, so I'm standing up on top of the 9 across from where I do the trick, and the first thing that goes through my head here is I have to drop in at the exact same speed as what I was before, so that nothing's changed and all the factors are the same. So I'm making sure I drop in at the correct speed, and then I'm going up and I'll jump early. And you'll see my body like compress, and I like suck up the top of the ramp so that I'm kind of like skimming over the ramp and having more forward momentum than up momentum. And that's really important because you don't want to land super hard on the Nosemanual. You want to land with forward momentum so that you're not landing crazy hard on your front wheel. But anyway, as you can see, I'm landing, and I land slightly under rotated on the backflip. And then that'll set me up perfectly to start positioning my body to counterbalance the backwards momentum of the flip. I know it's kind of confusing, but it is a confusing trick, and that's what's so hard about it. So obviously I land in the Nosemanual, you see my body shift forward, and that's me stopping myself and my back wheel from going down. And then I'm wiggling my body around, and then you see me maneuvering and twisting my body to start the 180. And then I actually do probably the best ever Nosemanual 180 hop to fakie into a ramp that I've ever done ever, which I was super stoked on. And like in my mind right now, I'm like, holy moly, it's happening, it's happening. Just remember that I got a fakie fronty now. I know I have enough speed, I just got to hit the ramp going straight. So I land and I shimmy, and you see my body shimmy, and oh no, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going sideways into the ramp. If I don't straighten up, I'm not going to be able to do this fakie fronty properly. But then you see I shift my body at the last minute, I shift, turn my bars so I'm heading straight towards the quarter. And you can see I'm kind of still a bit turned, but this is a way better position than I was before. And obviously I huck the fakie fronty with everything I have, and I stomp it. And you can see by my face that I'm just like, I can't even believe that I just landed the hardest trick I've probably ever done at a skate park. So there you have it, the hardest skate park trick in WebEdit 3, the backflip, Nosemanual, 180 fakie front flip at my local skate park, Caloundra. Obviously this is one of my favorite clips of WebEdit 3. It was so hard and I couldn't believe that I pulled it off. So if anything, I hope I can inspire people, just push the limits and just know that it takes persistence. Nothing's going to come first try. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the majority of the tricks I do now do not come first try, and they take at least, I would say, over 50 tries plus. Every trick I try these days that is brand new and at that WebEdit 3 level of trick, it takes over 50 attempts. And it is frustrating, but that's just what you got to do. You got to push yourself. Some tricks don't come this easy, and you really do have to be persistent. Even if you're learning a tailwhip for the first time, it might take you 100 tries, it might take you 600 tries, but just don't give up, keep pushing, because you'll land it that one time and it'll be worth all the blood, sweat and tears that you've put into it, because that trick, even though it was so hard, so frustrating, it was so worth it, and I'm stoked that I got it. So that's it for WebEdit Wednesday this week. Next week, I'm actually not sure what's next week. Let's check real quick. Alright, so next week is the double flare to fakie. I sat on this clip for so long and it did take me a fair few attempts, so it will be an interesting story. So make sure you smack that thumbs up button if you enjoy my WebEdit Wednesdays, and smack the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the backflip to Nosemanual 180 fakie fronty from my WebEdit 3, and subscribe if you haven't already. I know a lot of you are watching and you aren't subscribed, it says in my analytics, so make sure you just go down there, turn your subscriptions on, and maybe turn the bell on as well, you know, turn on those notifications. I really appreciate it, and I thank you all for commenting in the comments below and letting me know what you think. I always go through and I read them, so if you do want to let me know something, make sure you comment below, because I do see it. And thank you all for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next one.